So business owners, have you ever had or do you currently have an employee who is brilliant at their job? They bring in huge amounts of money. They're extraordinarily productive, but they are a toxic mess. They are geniuses who everybody hates. They demand their way, they push people around, and they make your life miserable all while you reap their financial success. I'm Kevin Weir, your Action Business Coach, and I've been doing this for 21 years, and you do not know how many times I have had to deal with business owners who had that genius but toxic employee who made them a huge amount of money but was destroying the culture of the business in the meantime. So, what's the problem here? Here's the biggest problem is you're going to have morale issues with your team. They're going to really struggle dealing with this individual. Number two, your leadership will not be respected by your lack of action to the offender because, oh my gosh, what if they leave? There they go. I'm losing money. And number three, you're going to lose valuable team members because a lot of these people are not going to tolerate continuing to have that toxic genius employee working with them. Now, if we deal with this issue and we get rid of these people or at least turn them around, what's going to happen? Your team's morale is going to skyrocket. I can tell you that right now. Number two, you'll be seen as a true leader even if the decision is difficult. And number three, you're going to retain your core team. And that's probably the most critical thing there. Let me give you a real life example of this. I had a med spa that I worked with many, many years ago. And they had a doctor who was an absolute genius. She was a huge producer in the business, but she was toxic like you wouldn't believe. And in my interactions with her, she was one of the most difficult individuals I had ever met in my life. And I had to put pressure on the business owner to at least do something. Well, this person finally exploded one day and screamed, "I quit, I'm leaving here," thinking that she had the power because she brought in most of the money to the clinic. And so guess what the owner did? The owner took the cue, packed up her box, and when she came in the next day, like she usually does if she blew up, and she saw the box there and says, "What's my box doing there?" And she goes, "Well, you quit yesterday, so I packed all of your things into a box and put it outside your office door because then you'd come in today." Well, she blew up again and walked out. Come to find out, her team was going to quit en masse, almost every single person within the next 48 to 72 hours because they just couldn't take her anymore. Saved the business. And that's a real life story. Now, maybe it's not as severe in your business, but this is something that needs to be dealt with. So, what are the main things that you can do as a business owner who is dealing with one of these brilliant, ingenious, but horribly behaved individuals? Well, the first thing we need to do is you need to deal with the behaviors immediately. So when you see toxic behaviors from this individual or small group of individuals, you need to deal with that as soon as possible. Now, even if you believe that this person might quit, if you confront them, it's a lot better to do that than to allow them to believe that their negative behaviors are okay. Remember, your team is looking at you to see if you will have the courage of your conviction or are you going to wimp out. They're looking to you for leadership. So number two is if this person you feel is coachable, you need to provide interpersonal coaching that shows that the person is contributing to the bottom line results. Some people are not aware that their behaviors negatively impact others around them. They just don't quite understand. So your job is to coach them and help them understand the linkage between their behaviors and how their behaviors affect everyone around them. Some people are going to be coachable like that, others are not. But if you don't at least attempt to coach them, they can't change. So you don't want to allow them also to use their own brilliance as an excuse to treat others in a negative way, because that's what will happen. They're going, "Well, why am I being coached? I'm the one that's making all the money for this company. Why are you getting on me?" Well, guess what? You have to help them understand that it doesn't matter what kind of results they bring in, which that is important, but that their behaviors have a direct impact on everything in the company. The third thing we need to take a look at is you never stop recruiting. As a business owner, your job is to always be on the lookout for talent. Too many times you keep a productive person but toxic employee on board because you have no other alternatives available. So here's the thing is when you have, I call it ABR, always be recruiting. When you have an always be recruiting strategy and mentality, you create options for yourself. It also signals your team that you have value for them and you like keeping them around, they are not completely 100% indispensable and thus can abuse their power without any consequences. Make sure that you are constantly interviewing, because remember this, interviewing, recruiting, and hiring are two totally separate things. If you think about it, recruiting is sort of like courting or dating. Hiring is like getting engaged. And then if they go past their 90-day point in the business, now you're married. So let's at least start dating and keep that fishing line out there for employees. Now, it's extraordinarily tempting to keep a toxic employee who makes you a huge amount of money. The problem is that even if they are raking money in for you, you could lose your entire business if the rest of your team takes action and they bleed out of your business. I mean, you must have the courage of your convictions to terminate the employee or employees. And yes, you will be financially hit. I am not going to pretend that you won't take a financial hit. Yes, you will. In the example with this Dr. Victoria example I gave, the clinic took about 9 months to recover financially, but eventually they did, and they went on to have great success in their business. Now, however, always remember this: over time, you'll gain more back when you get rid of that toxic employee. So have that courage. If you try coaching them deal with their behaviors, and you tried to coach them and you can't change the way they behave, then recruit. Make sure you're constantly recruiting, getting those people on board, and have that courage to get rid of that toxic employee, because the entire team is far more important than just one hyper-productive individual who may be destroying the entire culture of your business. Now, here's a question for you. If you're listening to this right now as a business owner and you are dealing with that toxic employee who is a genius and makes you lots of money but is in the process of destroying your culture, go ahead and schedule a 30-minute strategy call where I can help you develop a game plan to deal with this toxic employee, even though they may be brilliant. Now, I may tell you things that you may not want to hear, but I know from my experience you will thank me later. So go ahead, schedule that call in. Let's talk this through. I look forward to helping you get what you want out of your business.